G'day viewers, my name's Graham Stevenson and I'd like to invite you to come on a journey of creativity and learning and adventure through the series Colour in Your Life. There's an artist in every family throughout the world, and lots of times there's an artist deep down inside all of us as well. So grab your kids, your brothers, your sisters, your aunties, uncles and mums and dads and come and see how some of the best artists in Australia do what they do. Hello.
G'day mate, how are you?
Dave. How are you, mate?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Can I come in?
Yeah, of course you can.
Mate. Oh, this is amazing, Dave. Well, g'day viewers. We're actually at the studio of David Calro at the moment, and David is an amazingly talented watercolour and acrylic artist, and he specialises in surrealism and super realism, because your work is so detailed, mate. Now, this one you're working on, it's a religious painting for the Blake Prize, isn't it?
You could say religious, yes, you could say that, yes.
And that's 6 months' work?
I would say give or take a month, yeah.
That's amazing, it really is. But we're going to actually spend the day with Dave, and just obviously because these paintings take quite a long time to do, but he's going to show us some various techniques using the acrylics and the watercolours and how they work in combination, and uses an airbrush to pick the colour up. It's quite fascinating, but you're going to get a really, really detailed view of the amount of work that goes into David's creations. It really is just quite extraordinary. But can I take a seat there?
Please, just be comfortable, mate.
And let's watch what you do then.
Okay.
So Dave, I've seen a lot of your work. You really put a lot of lizards in, Australian lizards as well. Can you tell me about that?
I think there's something about lizards, generally speaking, particularly Australian lizards, they're all harmless. I mean, they're not going to hurt you. Maybe a huge goanna might.
No Gila monsters here.
No, none of those nasties. But I think there's just something about them. They always seem to have a benign smile on their face. When I look at them, I think of what a benign sort of existence they have. You know, just hanging about in the sun. You know, eating insects and whatever.
Yeah.
But there's just something about them, and to me, they're walking mosaics.
Yeah.
And I think they're just part of. It's just part of our folklore.
There's a real Australiana theme going through this piece, isn't there? It's the Michelangelo's Pieta, or a form of it.
Pieta, yeah. Well, that's right. I guess what I've tried to do here, and again, it's a linking of images. I mean, I can show you photographs that I've downloaded.
Sure.
Excuse me, I'll just move these paints. I mean, images like that. I mean, that's an unusual formation.
Yeah.
Which I've taken the idea of this fig growing on rock, and then I've sort of added that as this beautiful snow globe. But then the Pieta itself, but to me, it's an icon, and it shows the loss of a son to a mother. We have a subject here right at home, which is the Aboriginal situation. Now, I don't want to make political comments. I just want to make a statement of the loss of a son and what it means to everybody, regardless of who you are, where you're from, or whatever. And I thought, well, the Pieta is actually, to me, is perfect. So I've drawn the base of the Pieta, which is actually Mary's laps or lap, and it's, even though Michelangelo exaggerated that greatly, the way he's carved the robes and everything else into the rock, just to me, it's a beautiful piece of work.
Yeah.
Then I've used the body of Christ, and I'm transforming that into an Aboriginal, I guess, warrior, if you like. But I don't. There's nothing vicious all about the whole thing. But he's dead. He's died, and of course his mother is is looking directly at the viewer. I wanted also to make a connection between the Pieta, the Christian icon, if you like,
Sure.
and an Australian situation, which to me are identical. You know what I mean? Pieta means pity.
Sure.
We can use certain images and still convey a feeling. And that's all it is. It's not a religious thing, it's merely, I'm going to call it Pieta in actual fact.
What I'm quite fascinated about is that, and I did watercolours as well for many years, yours
Yeah.
are just extraordinary, but the process, I know that you're using the chroma acrylics and obviously the watercolours to go with it as well, but what do you seal this at all? Do you seal that or just paint over the top of where that lead is, and how do you adjust your colours?
I don't seal it, and particularly I used to use watercolours an awful lot, but since I turned to acrylics, and particularly the quality ones, I find that once I've got the tone here, because tone's more important than anything else, I can then do my washes and do my glazing over the top until I get the actual tone that I want.
I mean, generally, because I use Chroma Interactive myself on a lot of base colours, but
Yeah.
I just didn't realise that they were that versatile to the extent that you can literally use them like watercolours.
These Atelier,
Yeah.
particularly
Yeah.
interactives, they work exactly the same as watercolours do, right? Pretty well. And you have a time span, which is what I need. And if I want to change something and remove something, then I've got this time frame to work in. So using these additives and
Yeah, because I see you've got the
mixes.
unlocking formula there as well. Yeah, what type of paper are you using this is like watercolour paper of some sort?
Yeah, it's Canson. I find, well, I've used Canson for years, so I'm not going to stop now, but I just find the texture good, and it does the job. And,
Yeah, really, it sort of holds the colour quite well, doesn't it?
It holds the pencil too.
So, yeah, because generally I sharpen my pencils, I just use a Staedtler or something.
I've either got 4B or 2B. I don't use hard pencils.
Yeah.
Because they leave indentations on the paper, and if I want to remove something, of course I can't. But they're easily removable. I use kneadable erasers, right, which is perfect for this because it just lifts.
What sort of Faber-Castell piece of rubber is it?
It's Faber-Castell. I just need to dab it, and I can actually lift without rubbing too hard.
Okay, so you just sort of take the carbon straight off the page like
It
that?
just takes it off straight off. And then if I want to lighten an area, I can do that, or I can go back over with the lead that's already in my brush, and I can bring it back up to the depth that I want.
Yeah.
Because don't forget, this is going to have colour over the top of it. Sure. Would you like me to show you how I work with the airbrush to highlight areas?
That'd be great, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah,
fine.
I'm sure the audience would love to see that.
Okay, great. Well, just give me a minute and I'll get the compressor going.
Great. So we're going to join David again now, and he's actually going to show us how he actually prepares the paint or the glazing methods that he uses to actually go onto. But you've got those little ceramic dishes there, mate.
The idea of it is that once I get a colour that really works for me,
Yeah.
I like to keep it. Now I have to do it in quantity, and it's also got to be very thin.
Sure.
So basically what I really do is I mix up a small amount,
Okay.
usually about something like that, and I'll put...
Like a syringe.
Yeah, actually I keep these handy because I can measure just how much water I want to go in there.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That's really precise then, isn't it?
Well, it's as precise as you can get it, but you see that, and I just have to work it pretty much.
So you've really just made it. You've made an acrylic wash there, haven't you?
That's all. Well, that's what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, see that, to me, I wouldn't work with that thickness.
Yeah.
But to get to that stage, I just have to keep adding water.
Okay.
But that just gives you some idea. I like to have the least amount of colour and build it up from there because that's where the excitement comes.
How do you keep that from going off then? The last thing you want to do is dry it out once you've prepared it all.
This is the magic of it. There's two methods I use. One is I'll cover it in the cling wrap, or alternatively, and this way, if I want to keep it, if I'm happy with that, and if I want to do a series, or I'll do another painting using that colour,
Yeah.
I'll go back to these. These are blunt, by the way. These are blunt needles. I get them from the chemist. I'll just draw it up.
Oh, so you just store it in the syringe?
Store it in the syringe.
Wow.
And
That's pretty cool, isn't it? And there you go.
Take that off. Use a bit of that, what we call blue tack or yellow tack or whatever tack you want to use. Wipe the ends dry. No air gets in.
And that's
And
it.
of course,
It just stays there.
then I have it stored. It'll stay this way. Acrylics will stay that way for particularly when they're mixed with water. For as long as I want.
From here, we're going to airbrush. We're going to airbrush the highlights. Now, it's like the detail that you've got in this is quite extraordinary, but obviously to get the depth of field in your work, you take off sections of the paint.
Well, I think the best way to treat light with watercolours, I mean, I say watercolours, I mean I'm using acrylics now, which I'm using them as watercolours.
Sure.
And I still like to use the base white of the paper. Now, airbrushes, you can use them for putting paint on, you can use them for taking paint off. And I actually use it more for taking paint off. And particularly with Atelier, the thing I like about it is that I can leave it for 3 or 4 days, which I've done here. Right? This I did more than 3 days ago.
Okay.
Now, ordinarily, this is the trouble I had originally with acrylics years ago, and I've of course come back to them. Of course, I wasn't able to get back into it and get to the paper.
Sure.
Now I can, and I can get this. I can still go back to the paper and use that as my reflection.
But that's what the interactive does. That's why it's amazing. You can actually get the colour back.
I use airbrushes probably differently than most people because I tend to use the airbrush to take paint off rather than put it on.
Well, in saying that, because I'm sure that the viewers really want to see you at work.
Okay.
Let's go about the process of you working on one of these areas, because the detail when you look at this, viewers, is quite amazing. But let's work on one of these areas and let's just show them how you actually manipulate and manufacture the end result.
It's important to also have a tissue handy,
Sure.
because it will spread. And this is really this is how I do it.
Okay.
So remember, I want to get that back to that base colour, the base white. You can see it's coming off gradually there. So I tend to leave my base colours on now for 2, sometimes 3 days. So like I use the unlocking fluid. It just gives me seems to give me a cleaner, crisper finish.
I can understand now why it takes you 6 months to do a painting.
Why be in a hurry, mate?
He's a dedicated man.
Why be in a hurry? If you're going to do it properly, you know.
It's great.
So that's my airbrushing technique.
That's amazing. All right, Dave, from what here, you're actually going to show us how to do a wash on that sort of reddish area you've got there.
Yeah.
How do you go about doing that? Because I can see it's a very, very subtle situation you've got.
Well, it really is pretty straightforward, Graham. It's not unlike normal watercolour in many ways. I work wet on wet, but again, it's just a matter of building it up. This time I'm going to use a yellow acrylic wash very gently. Let's get a bit more of the Atelier from here.
Okay.
Mix it into this bowl, which I've already used this morning, and I use very, very little water, and I don't really care at this stage whether it's even too light. It's a wash. It just helps me gauge, and I might glaze over this area 10 different times over the period of time, but it just helps me build up very slowly an undertone.
It's
really straightforward, isn't it? But
and you don't find that you're stripping the colour up underneath?
No, it's not. No, because again, it's only light.
Yeah.
And whilst I could, if I was using the unlocking formula, then fine, it probably would. But I'm only using, in this case, I'm only using water.
Just the water, yeah.
In looking at a piece like this, Dave, you only paint about, I don't know, was it 2 or 3 paintings a year? They obviously take you a great deal of time. You produce these in limited edition too, don't you? I mean, the average punter I know simply can't afford one of your pieces because the fact is that there's probably a couple of thousand hours in one. But to make it available, make the image available for people, you actually produce limited edition reproductions and giclées as well.
Well, very much. In fact, I don't use anything else but the giclée process. I mean, I had to look around for a good scanner. I had to have them scanned properly. And the reproduction I'm getting now, after looking for so long, right, I finally have to send my stuff away to have it done. But the process itself is absolutely superb. And the high quality inks, I mean, they're Epsom inks, which are really, Epsom make some of the best inks in the world, but these are all light fast. Yeah. Virtually, they're guaranteed for 100 years.
Okay.
Plus, whenever I have them reprinted, they're on conservation quality paper, right? Archival paper.
But you actually get them scanned. You've got a one over here.
That's a proof sheet. Yeah.
This is a proof sheet that you'll actually get.
That's right.
And they'll produce this simply to show you the colour. But the amazing part about David's work, and you can't see it unfortunately at home, but if I put these glasses on, these are 3D glasses, I suppose like the ones you get at the movies, but if you put the glasses on, all of a sudden the picture becomes literally three-dimensional. It's like you could actually put your hand in and out of the painting. It really is, it's amazing, it's incredible stuff. But going from there, and obviously they'll take these proofs, there's another one right there, another 3D, I mean the colour's just wonderful. But do you have an example of one for us?
Of a giclée print? Yeah, I have.
We could have a look at it.
I only got this back the other day, but it's the original I sold some time ago, but I sell the prints on a regular basis, and this one just arrived, so it's actually the only one I've got with me at the moment. But yeah, that's the quality and of the colour. You can put it side by side with the original, and not only is the detail there, but also the colours there.
The detail is unreal. If you look at this, guys, you can literally see that each one of these little mosaic pieces in here it's got its own shadows. I would go nuts if I was doing this. But just your imagination and the way you go about everything is just fascinating. So when they take a photo of this.
Well, they actually scan it with a very high-powered scanner. Yeah. And whilst it's not what you call a cheap process, it's a permanent record. The files are huge, and it means that, like when I do corporate work, the image may be suitable for one area, but they may want a larger one. So I can virtually increase the size of the print up to 50%.
And once again, I mean, is that Canson paper or?
Oh, more than likely. Yeah. More than likely.
Because the quality's great on it.
But the inks are superb. Anybody who really loves their work, and if you're putting a lot of time into it, it really does pay to have their work scanned and to have limited edition prints. You've got to be very honest with limited edition prints. I never do more than 95 personally. Okay. So each one is numbered. I have a book of provenance, and every time one is sold, I keep a track of that, where it's gone, and that number, of course, won't be duplicated.
Yeah.
So
and even some of your work, the Governor General owns as well. Is that
the
correct?
Governor?
The Governor?
Yeah, it was presented to the Governor actually with the State Waratah.
Oh, okay.
Yes. That was back in 2008. So it's happily ensconced in Government House in Sydney.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So what I'd like to do is I'd like to actually have a talk to you about some of these originals. I mean, the way you frame these. Now, you've got 2 originals at the back just there as well.
Yes.
But I'll just sort of pop over here, guys. Particularly when you look at pieces like this, once again, the detail in your work is it's unreal. It's mind-boggling, in fact. But you were saying that this was taken off of a photo of some sort?
Yes, I've actually got this off the internet. Okay. And the strange thing about it is that this particular chameleon, that's exactly how it looks. It's the weirdest looking thing. I mean, it truly is. These are all Madagascan flowers and whatever. But the thing is, it's the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life, and I had to paint it. The colours are the same.
That's great.
I mean, but you wouldn't think anything like that could walk around on Earth, but
No, it's great.
it's quite magic, you know, quite magic. It's quite a magic creature.
And part of being a professional artist really is the presentation of your work as well, isn't it?
I think a painting isn't finished until it's framed.
Yeah, I mean, if you, compared to this one, and say if we just move along
Oh
this
yes,
guy
right.
here, and obviously you can just see the mat, and actually that looks like it's actually been elevated off the
It has.
off the board.
Yes, it has. I had that just to give it another, just a quirky, if you like, a quirky change. Other people do
Yeah.
it, but I think it works.
And these are originals, aren't they?
Yes, these both are originals.
So they are for sale, guys.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, as I said once again, the detail in these is just, it's amazing. It really is. And you've got another one just down here, and I'll just show the viewers this one as well.
Oh, yeah, right. That's
And this, funnily enough, has got a little bit of a connection to the gentleman that we just recently did last week.
my good friend Frank Miles.
Frank Miles, who's a great sculptor as well. And actually, if you want to hold that,
Yeah.
you can sort of like, there was sort of cross artist influence, I suppose you could say, and you can actually see in there. Obviously, you've changed it a little bit, but you can actually see that.
The only thing I've changed, actually, Grant, it's worth mentioning, but the only thing I've really changed in it is I play it on the computer. Bronze doesn't come up terribly well in a painting, so I played with the computer and I turned it blue, and then I reversed the image.
That's just great.
Because, but nonetheless, it's his work, and I believe he's very happy with it. So
Yeah, no, it's just.
But I love
wonderful.
his work. I love his work.
I honestly can't get over the detail that you put into these. It is mind-boggling. It really is. So,
thanks for that, Grant.
all right, Bud. Well,
Okay, mate.
as you can see, viewers, David's shown us a little bit of his wonderful technique and his ability today. And Bud, I'd really like to thank you for having us come along.
My pleasure, Grant.
It's been
My pleasure.
very educational. I think the viewers out there will find the same as well. This is obviously going to take a long time to finish.
Yes, I'd say so.
What I would suggest is that when David has finished this, we're going to get a copy of it and put it up on colourinyourlife.com.au so that the viewers can come in and have a look at the finished product. But as I said, mate, thank you very much for having us here today.
Thank you, Graham. It's been a great pleasure.
You'll get to see this hopefully in the next 6 months. But until we meet again, remember, make sure you put some colour in your life. See you next time.